From the moment we held on to things we cannot see, I would cross the sky forever. It's only just begun. I know you will agree. Things to make us all feel better. What I may have, what I may.
Hello everyone. So here we are. Little Women journals are finished. I appreciate everybody's extreme patience and encouragement while I finished this ever-growing project. It only took me about a week longer than I thought, and it was supposed to be 8 journals and it turned out to be 11. So what I'm going to do is show you the cover of each journal inside and out, and then I will flip through one. They're all similar pages and images in different orders with different stitching, but very much the same. But the covers all have their own personality, and I've named them according to how I decided to do that. So here is the first of the 6 large journals. This is Marmee, which is what they called the mother in the March family, and she's a very old-fashioned, no nonsense but soft cream color. I love this fabric. I used this for several of them. And this sari silk, the color is called Vanilla, which I think is so appropriate. There is a tassel with sari and seam binding and a Tim Holtz tag. This one says Simplify, and of course this detaches. So I doubled up on the sari closures. So there's actually 2 long ribbons through the front and through the back. So when you tie it, you're getting 4 bows on the top and 4 on the bottom, which adds to that really fluffy look. And this is so soft. Something about this vanilla is just a little bit different, and it just makes you want to touch it. The images on the covers of all of these journals are from my Digi, Little Women, and many of them are the Jessie Wilcox Smith illustrations that she did for the book. On the inside covers, so I'm just going to open each one up and show you the inside, front, and back cover, and then I'll flip through one. The paper on each of the inside covers of the journals are from the Little Women Graphic 45 paper collection, and I will link that below the video in the description box. So yeah, I really love the colors in that paper set. And so for Marmee, I used the crocheted laces. I used constantly through them all, but I used a very orangey, muted earth tone, simple kind of color scheme feel to it, and I think it came out really nice. And there's just a few charms on each of the journals, and I'll give you a close-up of that when I do the flip through of one. And here's the back cover of Marmee. So I won't go through tying these back up, but just to show you what I'm doing, because I'm not including an operator's manual with these, when you go to close these, if you tie it and then hold it with your pinky, and tie it in a bow, and then what I do is I make it just a little bit smaller, make the loops a little smaller before I pull them tight, and it makes that bow foof out a little to give you that explosion. And if you're getting one of these journals, you may even decide you want to trim some of the extra tail off. I left them long so you could make your bows as big as you might want them. So that's Marmee. The next one is Beth. And she also has the vanilla sari and a little bit of pink sari in her tassel, which says breathe. And great image of her at the piano. I really like that. And there's lace around on top of the fabric. I thought those were really soft colors, kind of reminded me of the quiet homebody. Beth was into music and kittens and all the things that had to do with a comfortable home. So again, with the Little Women paper and inside the back cover. So that is what Beth looks like. This one I'm calling the umbrella, and I just love that picture of Friedrich, the professor, and Joe under the umbrella, and the colors in it just complemented this sari, or rather the sari complemented the image so well. It's almost a muted rainbow color, and I also used that in the tassel. And this one says believe. If there's one thing Joe always did, it was to believe in herself, believe in her dreams. And I used this fabulous upholstery. And inside, a little bit darker colors on this one. I went with the green Little Women paper, and all of these do lay flat when the tassel is detached. And in the back, the same paper. So I used the same basic color tabs. There's a slate green tint to this cherry blossom fabric, and the bead in this one is a more earth tone. All of them have a cameo in it that's attached to one of the inserts, and they all have a small daisy charm. So that is the umbrella. This one is called Sisters, and it also has the vanilla sari, and this one has more pink in the tassel. And the coin on this one says Journey. And I used a different lace on the bottom of that really yummy cream-colored upholstery. Inside Sisters, it's got the Little Women paper. There's the author, Louisa May Alcott, and the back cover. This one is called The Orchard House, which is where Louisa May Alcott grew up and wrote Little Women. And I have a picture of her quite young and a little bit older in years. Used this really soft blue and white weave. And there's an antique lace doily with, let me tell you, there are sari silk threads all over the vanilla from the other journals is still shedding where I frayed it and ripped it to size, and I'm finding little bits of it here and there. So this has a really pretty tea-dyed doily over the spine. And this says Destiny. I've got the vanilla and this pale blue. I can't remember if she called this periwinkle in the shop. There's 3 or 4 shades of really pretty light blue that that Lois has had. And I'll put the Victorian Gypsy Girl link where I get my sari silk below the video as well. But the colors are fabulous. So a couple colors in that one. And inside, I've gone with the blue Graphic 45 paper. I think this came from the Patterns and Solids. I can't remember which one, the green or the blue, came in the main set and the other one came in the Patterns and Solids, but I've stitched Orchard House down here. The tabs on this, as well as the little beaded charm I made, are all primarily the blue colors. And there is inside the back cover. So that is Orchard House. This one I'm calling Little Women, and it has the vanilla in both the tassel and the tie, and I am giving this one away. I will post a giveaway video sometime in the next couple days, as soon as I can get to it, and all you'll need to do is subscribe and leave a message beneath the video, and I will do a drawing about a week out. I'll put the specifics in the video that I do for it, but this is the one I'm going to give away. And on her tassel it says Dream, a little bit of pink, mostly vanilla, and this is actually part of it's not a tablecloth, it's like a doily that would cover a tablecloth. It's definitely crocheted, and I can't imagine that it would have been for anything else other than for a table. But this is just one edge of it, and I thought, oh, that would just be so perfect to overlay. There we go. And inside, I've got the collage paper, the Colorful Loud. The rest of it is so pale, and the theme of this is just pale pink and cream ivory colored, so I thought that the loud colors inside would go nicely with this. And I've put both blue and a bit of pink through the tabs on this one. So this is Little Women, and you'll be seeing more of her soon. So we're through with the 6 larger journals, which, by the way, are 9 inches tall by 5 inches wide by 2 1/4 inch spines. These 4 that I'm going through next are 6 inches by I think 4 1/4. I think that's 4 1/2 inches by a 2 1/4 inch spine. And this one I'm calling Letters. Has a multicolored, fabulous sari in both the tie and in the tassel, and the coin says Listen. They wrote a lot of really good letters in the course of the book of Little Women. When Marmee went to go and aid Mr. March, he had fallen sick. He was a chaplain in the Civil War, and when he left, the girls all wrote letters to Marmee. But in the beginning of the story, it starts out with Marmee reading a letter to the girls from Mr. March. So anyways, I called this one Letters. And that's what she looks like on the outside. And inside it has the green Little Women paper. Love that book cover. There's quite a few older book covers that are in the public domain. That was my favorite. Little Women was originally written as a 2-part story, and extra in the back. Okay. Anyways, Little Women was written as a two-part book, and it was then later combined into one. So these also have a cameo and beads and a little daisy charm in them. So this is letters. This one is called Meg. Meg was the oldest of the four sisters, and she liked pretty things. She was very feminine and just reminded me of the soft color pink. This is called Cotton Candy, this color of sari silk, and I mixed it with the vanilla in both the tie and the charm. It says Cherish. And it has that wonderful cream colored fabric cover. And inside these are really exactly the same format as the bigger ones. They're just smaller in size. I used quite a lot of pink, soft pinks, muted pinks. Almost a mauve, but not quite. A little brighter than mauve, I would call it. And that's the back cover. And they do lay flat. They are quite the symmetrical fan when they're laid open. So that one is Meg. This one is called Amy, and in the book, Amy, the youngest sister, ended up marrying Theodore Lawrence, who they called Laurie. He grew up next door to the March Girls. Everyone thought Joe, who was the writer, would end up marrying Laurie one day, but it was Amy. And so I've got the blue and pink soft mixed in with this. Although it's primarily blue, it seemed to tie in well with the cover image, also Jessie Wilcox Smith. So most of this is a blue theme. That really soft material. But I did put just a hint of pink in the tassel. The tassel says Imagine. Amy was the artist. She painted. She was the creative soul that ended up traveling the world with an aunt and uncle and learning art in Europe, which is where she ended up reconnecting with Laurie. And inside we have the blue graphic 45 paper. The tabs are mostly blue, but there's a hint of pink. The cameo is pink, and there's a pink ribbon in this lace. And again, blue in the back. I just love the way these fan open. I'm so pleased with how they just filled out. You almost have to really hold these shut to get them to tie. It's a neat effect. But if you squish them, in other words, if you tied it really tight, you still do have room to expand, to add some more stuff in there if you wanted. So that's Amy. And this is the 4th small journal and the 10th journal in the collection. This is Joe. And I just love the way this all came together with the darker, real soft, almost a chenille design in the pattern. And this is a different color blue than Amy's and Orchard House. This is almost a steel gray blue. It went so well. And again, I mixed it with the vanilla. This was one of the original Frank Merrill sketches for the illustrations of Little Women. It says Joe in a Vortex, which was describing the mode that Jo got into when she was writing in the book. And her tassel says inspire. And I've got some sari and seam binding and such in the tassel. And I really just love. Someone used the word the other day in one of the threads. I think it was on Sheila Gingrich's Boho Daydreams, that she said that she liked to pet the silk. She just wanted to get it out and touch it and pet it. And I so get that. I have journals and silk things that it just feels so good to the touch. This is definitely one of those journals I'd like to pet. So, and then inside, this is the only one I used the black collage graphic 45 paper for the end papers. And I used some dark blues throughout on the tabs, along with the earth tones and the crocheted. So that is Jo. While I have Jo right here, and you have a kind of a perspective of the size, this is the 11th journal, and it is, I don't know how big this journal is. The pages are 2.5 inches wide by 3 inches high, and I made this for myself. There were so many pretty scraps of everything, including this fabulous material, and I didn't even make a tassel for it yet. I've got the cameo and a locket just safety pinned on there. And it looks a lot like the cover of Marmee, but I love mini journals. And there were just so many fantastic little pieces that I went ahead and I put this together for my mini journal collection. So that is why that there are 11. So let me pick out one of these to flip through and show you what's inside. So as I said, the journals are quite similar inside. I'm going to flip through the journal that I'm going to give away. This is the one I'm calling Little Women. And I've already showed you the outside, the detachable tassel, the vanilla sari silk that sheds. You know, it only sheds so much and then it simmers down a bit. But for the first month or so when you use it, the strings will come off. And if you just are patient enough, I usually keep a little set of scissors nearby just to snip the strings rather than do what you might want to do, like I often do, which is pull them. Just snip them right off, and yeah. So the graphic 45 fabulous paper inside. This is what I've done is I've taken the images from my digi, and rather than stitch the images onto the page to hold them there, I have turned almost all of them into pockets here. So many of the pockets are filled with flashcards that have something to do with the book, or a tea-dyed postcard. You know, I look at the pockets in these journals are for you to fill, not for me to fill for you, but I want to put something there as a placeholder to add to the fullness of it until they're used for your own purpose. So Orchard House, I've got this stitched as a little pocket there too, a little tea-dyed tag. I've got the key to my castle in the air, but whether I can unlock the door remains to be seen. Castles in the air, what they called their dreams. I have pages in each one of these from Little Women. I have several older books, so I have pages in different places from different books. Let Us Be Elegant or Die. There's stenciling throughout. The Professor. Some more flashcards here. Professor Bear in Plumfield. Plumfield was where Aunt March lived. Joe took care of Aunt March, and when she passed, she left Plumfield to Joe, who married the professor, and they turned it into a school for boys. And this is Joe and Beth, two of the sisters that were quite close. This is Meg with Mr. Brooke. She married Mr. Brooke. He was Laurie next door, Theodore Lawrence. He was Laurie's tutor. Here's a tea-dyed index card, cut to size and stamped. It says, "Own your own story." Christmas won't be Christmas without any presents. Meg March. She says that in the beginning. And then she regrets saying that because she has so many things to be fortunate for. I always put a tea-dyed postcard for my a signature, a way of reminding people if they're ever wondering who made the journals. And it was really neat because the Graphic 45 stickers had Little Women stamps on them. So I put a Little Women stamp on the postcard that has my information on it in each of the journals. That house reminded me of what might be Plumfield or Orchard House, which is where Louisa May wrote Little Women. For the inside dangles, it's got the names of the girls on them. I put various selected pieces from the Graphic 45. And as some of the inserts, I've put the black and white images, the Frank Merrill sketches from the original set of illustrations from the book onto paper and tea-dyed it. And then just cut them so they're blank on the back and have those throughout. Castles in the air. And of course this is Amy and Laurie. Different passages. I've sewed a few in. Here's a ephemera card from the Graphic 45. So I have tea-dyed index cards, and I have them, 2 sets of these available in my shop, and I put a couple of the original of these tea-dyed index cards into each of the journals. So this is the one where Laurie is dreaming about becoming a musician. Of course, his grandfather, who raised him, Mr. Lawrence, wanted Laurie to go into more serious things in life. Here's a picture of the author when she was young. And I have a little description of the sari silk. Not everybody who gets a journal is familiar with sari silk, where it comes from, why they're uneven and they shed and such, and that just gives a little information about it. One of the images of the sisters by Jessie Wilcox Smith. I do love the sketch of the girls climbing, playing pilgrims, that says. I keep turning over new leaves and spoiling them, as I used to spoil my copybooks, and I make so many beginnings there will never be an end. That's what Laurie said in the book. Another page from my Little Women book. This is one of the inserts that I made. Has a cameo on a paper clip holding it in, and it's got the Little Women paper with some lace trim in a corner here. And I stamped books on this tea-dyed index card. And then in the back is one of the 4 letters that was written to Marmee one from each of the girls. This one is from Beth. And I used a different font to print out the letters from each of the girls to Marmee because their personalities were so different. So I thought maybe the font would help show that they had different personalities, that they were all a bit different. And here's the author when she was a little bit older. Have a little pretty little bead there attached onto the lace. And Edith Holden. Seemed like we should have some old-fashioned, quaint country flowers, even though they weren't quite from the same genre. This is a quote by the author about Beth in the book, but it didn't come from the book itself. It was about her characters. There are many Beths in the world, shy and quiet, sitting in corners until needed, and living for others so cheerfully that no one sees the sacrifice until the little cricket on the hearth stops chirping and the sweet sunshiny presence vanishes, leaving silence and shadow behind. Here is another letter, this one from Joe to Marmee. Marmee said to the girls, "I'd rather see you poor men's wives, if you were happy, beloved, contented, than queens on thrones without self-respect and peace." Another sketch of Jo writing in her serious writing cap. Marmee said, "Oh, Jo, you have so many extraordinary gifts. How can you expect to lead an ordinary life? You're ready to go out and find a good use for your talent. Though I don't know what I shall do without you, my Jo. Go and embrace your liberty and see what wonderful things come of it." Here's another of those tea-dyed index cards. This is Aunt March. She was rather upset that the girls had brought a boy into her house, into Plumfield. And if I remember correctly, the parrot on the back of her chair was rather vocal as well. Love is the great beautifier. It's a great colored sketch. And this says, "Less perfection, more authenticity." I love that stamp. Life and love are very precious when both are in full bloom. I love this, the Pickwick Club. "Mr. President and gentlemen," he began, assuming a parliamentary attitude and tone, "I wish to propose the administration of a new member, one who highly deserves the honor, would be deeply grateful for it, and would add immensely to the spirit of the club, the literary value of the paper, and be no end jolly and nice. I propose Mr. Theodore Lawrence as an honorary member of the PC. Come now, do have him." The PC being the Pickwick Club. And that was the Dickens-like literary club that the girls had. They let the boy next door in after much deliberation. I really like the way these papers tea-dyed. There was a lot of marbling, a lot of natural design and texture that came out in them, even in the doilies. Oh, Jo, how could you? You're one beauty. Jo cut her hair to raise funds for Marmee to go see Dad, Mr. March, when he was ill. And that's Jessie Wilcox Smith's sketch of Jo and Beth. This is the Frank Merrill sketch of Jo and Beth. I like that. I tried to put these on the same pages to kind of complement each other. In most of the journals, I managed to do that. And here's the second insert from the collaged paper. It's just got a little muslin tab here to match the ones on top, and inside there are 2 letters from the other 2 sisters, Amy and Megs. So there's that insert. There's that great picture of the umbrella. And another tea-dyed sketched insert. In each of the journals, I put 1 page from Norman Rockwell picture books that I have. I took the actual page out. And this is an illustration for the Louisa May Alcott Most Beloved American Writer that was done in Woman's Home Companion. Rockwell did a number of sketches. And the sketch is actually supposed to be the author and her father teaching her, talking to her in their living room. That is the page that's going enclosed in this. There we go. And another Edith Holden page. Frank Merrill sketches Jo in her vortex of writing. I love that book cover. And the classic picture of Marmee reading the letter. Be comforted, dear soul, there is always light behind the clouds. This is Lori and Amy. Great passage from the book. A quick, bright smile went round like a streak of sunshine. Beth clapped her hands, regardless of the biscuit she held, and Jo tossed up her napkin, crying, "A letter! A letter! 3 cheers for Father." Yes, a nice long letter. He is well, and thinks he shall get through the cold season better than we feared. He sends all sorts of loving wishes for Christmas, and a special message to you girls, said Mrs. March, patting her pocket as if she had got a treasure there. And this is Katharine Hepburn, 1933. She was so young, played Jo March in that movie, that year's movie of Little Women. And this was one of the promotional photographs that the studio put out copyright free, which studios often did back then, and sometimes they still do. A couple of promo pictures for people to share, to entice and help spread certain aspects of the movie. I love that picture. She's actually got a tear rolling down her cheek. And love this Frank Merrill sketch. Tell all about the party. The Dustpan Society will meet on Wednesday next in the parade in the upper story of the clubhouse. All members to appear in uniform and shoulder their brooms at 9 precisely. So that is Little Women. And I will put up information about the drawing for this sometime in the next couple of days, so everybody can enter the drawing. Also, I'll have 3 new digis in my shop. For this week, I'm going to put my complete junk journal course on sale, which goes through the complete construction of how these are made and how you can adapt them for different themes, and also make them smaller if you're interested in making one of the mini journals. And I will put the links to the Graphic 45 Little Women paper below this video, as well as the link to where I get the sari silk. I have some more videos coming up soon, so I won't be too long besides the giveaway before I get back to you all. And thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you soon. Have a great day. Bye.